Alright, so some of y'all have been requesting for more improvement guides, so I decided to make another one. In today's guide, we are going to be talking about neutral. In this video, I'm going to cover what neutral is, why it's important, how to actually win neutral. I'm going to show examples of how to do it with different weapons, and I'm going to play some games with those weapons just to show it in game. So firstly, we'll just get right into this. Let's pick random, let's get into training. So for the first one, what is neutral? Neutral is a state where neither player is attacking each other and they're kind of just sharking and they're waiting for the other person to attack. For example, let's just say that my Brandon is moving right here. Let's say we're both moving and we're just going like this. You know, we're pretty far away. Most of the time, neutral is pretty far away. And when nobody's attacking each other, nobody's doing anything. We're just pure snaking like this. You know, we're just waiting. We're not really attacking anybody. That is what neutral is. Now, neutral isn't just when you're super far apart and you guys are just not attacking. It can also happen when you're right next to them. So you could be right here in this little dead zone and yet nobody is attacking. Nobody is doing anything. So just to say, basically, neutral is the spot where nobody has an advantage, nor does anybody have a disadvantage. On the basics, it's basically even between both players. Now, for my second point on why it's important. Neutral is important because this game is kind of built off parrying. I mean, I know you guys have been playing some ranked games and you play somebody who's super passive and you just can't get to them. I hate to say it, but that's basically what this game is. So because it's super passive, most players, they want to wait for somebody to whiff and then attack. And because it's super passive, neutral is basically most of the game. The guy could be running away and you just can't hit them. That's also neutral because nobody has an advantage, nobody has a disadvantage. So how do you win this position exactly? I'll give you guys a quick scenario to demonstrate this. So let's say the Bryn and the Dusk are this far apart, right? It's the beginning of the game. You know, I grab the weapon and now we're in this position. Where do you go from this position? Some people probably try to throw out a move like this, or maybe an end light, or maybe they'll just dash near them. However, all of those can be a very bad idea. For example, if I just side light here, I'm leaving myself in the open for how many frames? Look how many frames I'm stunned for when I do this. Look, at the start of this, it's negative 304, right? Keep looking. This is where I'm allowed to move, right here. That is over 30 frames where I'm purely stuck. I can't move in the middle of this. You can see the stun. I can't move until that thing glows back up. That puts me in a very dangerous spot because I miss. Now that I missed, I'm now in the disadvantage state because I cannot go anywhere, and my opponent has the advantage because I missed. And that's the same case for the end light, because it is a little faster, but again, I'm stuck in this area where my attack is still going and I cannot move until my stun is over. So you can see why attacking is bad, because if you whiff, it puts you in a really bad spot and you're now in the disadvantage. Now what about dashing near them? Why is dashing near them so bad? Actually, dashing around them isn't the worst idea, but again, let's just say I'm dashing near them. If they're aggressive, which you can tell from adapting and reading their movements, if they're aggressive and they just see me dash next to them like this, all they have to do is time it right and then they can hit me, right? So that's where the part comes in where you want to be dashing with purpose. You don't want to just be dashing around for no reason going like this, because if there's no purpose to it, what's the point in dashing? So now I'm going to tell you how to actually win neutral almost every single time. So again, let's put us back in this scenario. The Brandon is over there, I'm over here, right? The game just started. We both have weapons. The main two keys to win neutral every single time is baiting and pressuring. But still, what do those mean? Baiting means that you're trying to get in a spot where they think they can hit you, and when they miss like this, you have enough time to react and hit him with the move. But that's not the only way to do baiting. So you can see right here, let's just say I was dashing near him, but this time I have a purpose. My purpose is to get in his zone where he can hit me and get out as fast as I can, but I want to make him think he can still hit me. So that could be a simple dash forward and dash back, which that could cause him to do many attacks because he sees me approaching him. There's dash jumping then spot dodging, which is a little more risky. But again, if you see somebody dash forward and they're in the air, you're going to try to hit them, but they spot dodge, so the heavy attack on the axe, let's say, is still in the stun frames and they're right below you. So with spear, for example, you could just pick them up with that. Another way to do it is in the air. In the air is a lot harder to do because you are very vulnerable in the air because of your options, but it is a lot better in my opinion. So this is where I'd like to introduce a mechanic called empty hopping. Empty hopping is basically this, like you're just staying in one zone, you're jumping up and you're fast falling down. So in reality, it's just like this. I'm just doing it faster. You're just fast falling up and down. If you move around, it looks a lot more intimidating, but you can just get near them like this. That might scare them into thinking you're in the air, so they're gonna try to hit you in the air, right? Or they're gonna try to hit some combo on you when you hit the floor. But the good thing about empty hopping is you can delay it. You have more jumps, so you don't have to land immediately. So again, if they try to go for the attack, they miss because you're jumping so much. You can land on the floor and hit them once again. Now you have the advantage because you hit them and they're stuck in the air, and they're in the disadvantage because they're stuck in the air and they can't touch the floor. Now it is a lot easier with these weapons like spear, because spear does have a lot of zones where you can play passive and all that, but this can be done on almost every single single weapon. So to summarize the baiting portion, you want to try to get in their zone and out of their zone as fast as possible, but you still want to make your opponent think that they can hit you. Another way you can do this is really fast moves. I wouldn't recommend this in lower elos because it is pretty risky, but if you have moves that don't have a lot of stun frames and you can get out of them really quick, you can use it as a bait, like on Isaiah for example. If I do it on cannon, if I just do a nair, like really far away, I do a nair, they're gonna think they can push me because I baited them in and they can go in for a true combo. But back to what I was saying, that summarizes the baiting portion. Now the pressuring portion is a little bit more advanced. So with the baiting portion, you know, you're not really next to them, on top of them that much. You're not really throwing out attacks. You're just kind of waiting and then seeing what they're doing after. Pressuring is almost the same, but it's still different. Pressuring means you're right up next to them or you're near them like this, right? This could still be empty hopping or dashing in and back, but you don't have a certain intention, but you want them to have the intention that you're going to attack first. Unlike baiting, where you are trying to make them miss, in pressuring, you're getting so close to them that you can actually attack them if you wanted to, right? So let's say I'm right here pressuring, I'm right next to him, you know, I'm just juggling around him. He's kind of tripped out because he's like, wait, why is this guy straight on top of me, or why is this guy right below me? This is really, really good to do if you've been baiting for a long time, because you're going from out here to all the way in here and your opponent's like, wait, what is he doing? I can just juggle him, I can just start hitting him, right? But then you follow their movements. So let's say he jumps, I jump right after him. I'm just trying to make him miss, but again, I'm right next to him to the point where I can attack anytime I wanted to. Now the purpose is not to just throw out random attacks when you're near them, but the purpose is to get them scared, because once your opponent is scared, they start throwing out things. They're not really sure what they're doing. They're not thinking anymore. Another aspect to pressure is if you've just been doing attacks near him, right? Let's just say you were playing the game normally and you always dash in and do a side light. Pressure is, instead of doing that, you dash in and then you wait, or you can dash in and do another attack. All that is going to get your opponent really scared, because he's going to see you coming in, he's going to be like, oh, this guy does a side light every time, so they're going to back up and try to hit you. But then you mix it up with something like a down light, and now they're scared, like, wait, why did he do that? He hasn't been doing that all game. Why did he do that? You're making your opponent question a lot, and you're making them think a lot more. So all game, if you've just been aggressive and you've just been like constantly attacking them and doing moves, you can randomly just slow it down, start playing neutral, and then try to bait them, right? If that doesn't work, you can try to approach them and pressure them just like that. So like this, you know, they've been seeing me do that all game. So instead, I just dash in and I just don't do anything. I wait. Your opponent can get scared and run away. Your opponent can get scared and jump, or your opponent can get scared and dodge. Dodging is the worst thing they could do, because then you just have a whole string you can put them in. So for the pressuring part, you want to make your opponent question what you're doing. You want to do things that you don't usually do. So dashing in, not doing an attack, or just stacking right on top of them, you know, making them question why they're doing that. All those tips can be used in a random neutral game. So hopefully that answers the question of how to win neutral every single time. You basically want to use baiting and pressure to your advantage. Sometimes you might also have to wait, so if your opponent's really aggressive and they're not really falling for your baits, they might just try to dash in and do an attack. So that's where you kind of play the waiting game. That's where you kind of want to wait out here. You want to play a little more passive against those types of players, because if they miss, they're now in the disadvantage state, and you can add on all this damage you've been waiting to add on. So now comes the hard part: how to do it with specific weapons that are harder to do on. So I'm not gonna go through every single weapon, but I will go on the harder ones to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and favorite all the characters that I think are pretty hard to do it in neutral, and I'll go over how to do it with those legends. All right, so here we have two legends ready. Okay, we have Hammer right here with the Bodvar, and then we have Onyx here representing the cannon. These two weapons are probably the hardest in the game. Most of the other ones are relatively the same, like blasters. Again, you just want to play super passive with blasters. You have a lot of dead zones, which could scare your enemies a lot. Again, bow, katars is really fast. Axe, again, really passive. It's a very strong weapon, so you really want to use pressuring a lot for that. Spear, I just demonstrated spear. Lance is super good in neutral, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. So are boots. Any other ones I haven't mentioned, most of them are pretty okay, but these two are pretty much the hardest ones in the game. So for trying to win neutral in Hammer, it is kind of just a waiting game. Again, Hammer doesn't really have a lot of long range moves, so if your opponent's right there, you just gotta kind of play near them and wait for them to see what they do. But the one thing that Hammer does have really good is its stacking options. So most of the time in neutral, you want to be playing next to them because of your stacking options. Either that, or if they're catching on, you could start implementing the baiting thing. So let's say the Lucian comes with katars and he misses because I baited him, and you can add up any true combo that you want and any string that you want to try to get as much damage as possible, so that when you stack with them, so that you can possibly juggle them, or you can just start ending them up with a D-Light Sair once you start stacking with them like that. So basically with all the heavier weapons, you want to wait a little more, and with the fast weapons, you're a little more free to do what you want. But these are just the basics on what you should be doing to win neutral. So again, on hammer, you want to wait for them to come to you. I only went over the really approaching parts in neutral, but again, if those aren't working, you could just sit back and wait for them to start the first engagement. I suggest that mostly on the heavier weapons. So yeah, you could just wait a little longer and then you can get your hits off. Now on cannon. Cannon is a lot more different. Firstly, believe it or not, cannon is terrible in neutral because surprisingly, most of the attacks aren't far ranged unless you count the D-light, which is not really that far ranged. But most of them can't hit really far ranged and they have massive amounts of stun. Like look how long it takes me to get out of this side light. That takes a very long time compared to the other weapons like sword and orb and scythe. And it's the same exact thing with the end light. It does still take forever to move, which means I would also put this in the heavier weapon category simply because it's super bad in neutral. The best way to play cannon honestly is just baiting, because you can't really pressure a lot because you have nothing that hits right below you. You kind of have a dare, but the dare doesn't really hit right below you, and your nair, they decrease the nair, so it takes a little longer to come out. So the main tip I can give for cannon is to just, you know, play strictly on baiting, wait till they whiff and then do an attack, and then try to maybe read their dodge and lead up to some type of string. But yeah, I would be really cautious with these two weapons, and other than that, most of the weapons are pretty much the same. If you do need help with another one, tell me down below and I'll try to help you out. But yeah, now we're gonna get into an actual game and I'm gonna show how to do this in game. So for this example, I'm gonna choose random, and actually this is a perfect weapon to demonstrate it on. We got faith, so again, we're not really focused on winning this game. I just want to show how to do neutral. So this is gonna be a perfect example. At the start of a game, you see none of us are attacking each other. Oh, is he here? Hello, 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 wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay, he's here. All right, cool. So again, look, we're in neutral right now, right? Nobody's attacking, but you see how he's missing right now? That's putting him in the disadvantage state. See, I just perfectly demonstrated the slower part of how to play neutral. Look, see, he's missing and I'm getting in. That's neutral. That's one way of winning neutral. Another one would be baiting. So again, let's get near him. Missed, and I'm getting in. Now, I don't know if you saw that because I was kind of fast, but that's what we were doing. Get in and out, miss, and punish. That's the second step of how to win neutral. So let's just condition him here, right? He saw me do a side light this time, so he's gonna come back on the stage. Another side light this time, so now he's gonna expect me to do something else. And I just showcased two whole parts of how to play neutral. The pressuring aspect, again, I wouldn't really recommend it against the more aggressive players. Because look, if you look at this guy, if I get near him, you can just see that he just won't stop attacking me. He just wants to hit me all the time. But yeah, I'll get into the next game and I'll show how to do it with a different weapon. All right, so here's the next game. I got 7 this time, which is a perfect example of how to show cannon. By the way, this guy's letting me get a weapon. Love this guy. But look, we have cannon here. So remember what I said, the big part on how to win neutral and cannon is waiting for the baiting, right? So you just saw he just didn't attack off rip, he dashed in, so that was pretty aggressive, right? But we gotta get near him, right? That's the pressuring part. Look, he missed, baited him in, he dodged bad, and then you gotta try to get in for a string. Look, and just like that, his whole stock is dead. I won neutral that one time, and just from that, I was able to get a little read, and I won, right? Now, this does get a little faster as you go on, but I am showing a perfect demonstration of the basics. Again, you get near him, he's gonna dodge in, and just like that. Nobody was attacking each other, nobody had disadvantage, and I still got that. Emoted. If you guys want me to do a whole video on the advantage and disadvantage state too, I'd be glad to do that. But as you can see, he's getting near him. Let's go with the baiting portion. Baited him in. Let's do it again. Baited him in, he spot dodged, and again we still caught his dodge because he was in a disadvantage state. And now we're just pressuring him with all the damage because we won that first neutral, and now he's always going to be in a disadvantage. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I didn't want to make this video too boring, so I hope this was short and it was kind of informational. Again, I could make a video on the advantage and disadvantage states or anything else you guys really want, maybe the mechanics of the game. Just go ahead and let me know. But thank you guys for watching the video, and I will catch you guys later. See ya.